This conference will now be recorded.
November 24th, 2020 meeting, a special meeting of the Tilton Select Board to order. Before we get started, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. As Vice Chair of the Tilton Select Board due to COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically, and these reasons shall be reflected in the minutes. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone. Members of the public wishing to attend this meeting electronically may call the following conference number at 1-866-899-4679, access code 817-026-717. Additional public access by video or other electronic means will be available as follows. We are using the GoToMeeting platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate remotely using your smartphone, tablet, or computer at global.gotomeet.me at /town of -Tilton /Selectmen. This information can also be found on our website at tiltonnh.org under Meeting Schedule and Agendas - Board of Selectmen. C, we are providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting via telephone, conference, and by GoToMeeting, and instructions are provided by the Tilton Town website at tiltonnh.org and at the Tilton kiosk. D, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting that a member of the public wishes to speak or to be recognized during any public comment or public hearing. If you are a member of the public listening and have any questions, please write your questions down, and at the end of each agenda item, the chair will ask if there are any questions from the public before we move on to the next agenda item. Please state your name and address and then ask your question. E, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting, and if there are any problems with access, please email web@tiltonnh.org, which will be monitored during the meeting. F, we will adjourn the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance, which each member states their presence. Also, please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Take it away, Joe. Can't hear you, Joe. You're muted.
I'm here.
Dog present, 2 dogs with me.
Constantino
Okay.
present. All right, Constantino present. There are 2 people in the house.
Eric,
Eric Pyre present. I'm alone in my car.
John,
John Scanlon present. I'm the only one present here.
and I am Joe Jessman, and there's people in the house, but nobody near me. Okay, due to the nature of this meeting, we'll dispense with the review of any minutes, and we will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have one thing on the agenda, and I would give the floor to Jeannie Forrester.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to hear from the Parks Commission their plan B, if you will, to deliver a safe Christmas parade and fireworks event for the town of Tilton. I know that Bob Hardy is on the phone, as well as other members of the Parks Commission. I don't want to speak for them. If they want to, Bob, if you want to lay it out, or another member, please feel free. Or if you want me to, I'm happy to. Just give me some direction. Bob Hardy, if you're trying to speak, oh, there you go.
Just took me a second to get the mic on. I'm going to defer, Jeannie, if you want to, either Marina or Bob Cormier to present the plan. They're the driving force behind the Christmas parade. So
That's fine with me. Looks like it's the chief of Marina.
Marina Sumner here. Hi, everyone. I can turn it over to the chief in just a moment. The plan thought being that we still could have it down Main Street of Tilton, and anyone can correct me in regards to the parking situation of having citizens park in their cars on both sides of the street. Bill also in regards to how the cars could be parked, still start at the Union Sanborn School, continue down Main Street, and also disperse at the high school. Still to have fireworks, close off Riverfront Park, signage to also display park to be closed to the public, and that way they can still enjoy the parade and also the fireworks. So if Bob Cormier or Bob Hardy would like to expand on that, that'd be great.
Marina, I can pick up a little bit. So at their last meeting, they discussed a few different options, but it seemed like the Parks Commission was really hoping to try and do it downtown. And Bill Lawrence had suggested maybe having them park facing the road rather than facing in, and be able to watch the parade safely from their cars. And so for us, what that would require is closing it down similar to the configuration we have for the Halloween event, just for the time that we're getting the parking in place and set up, so that it would be able to be done safely. I would probably suggest that cars looking to park for the parade actually come in from Center Street and come into the municipal parking lot, and then they would be able to go in and back into one of those spaces without having to worry about traffic. I think that would probably be the safest way to do it. And once the cars are in place and the parade begins, as the parade approaches the intersection of School and Main Street, at that point would open up that roadway to let the parade pass through it. But to be able to get people to park in there safely without traffic passing them, the only way I can see that we could do it is to block that off about a half hour before the parade starts, maybe 45 minutes, and get them in place. There's about 13 or 14 diagonal spaces in front of Polly's, so people could back into those spaces and face the parade. And then if we were to try and continue that pattern down the road towards the Provident Bank building, I'd say that they could only back in and face the road on one side and still leave enough room for the parade to pass. There's a total of about 50 spaces available downtown for parking. And I think the thought by everybody is if they would be able to watch this parade from their vehicles, that it would be the safest way to do it. So that's kind of the traffic and parking plan, Marina.
Sounds good.
I have a question on that, if I could.
Sure, go ahead.
Are you able to access the parking lot, Elm Grove parking lot? Are they allowing you to park in there as well?
I haven't confirmed that with them, but certainly that's a place to fit quite a few vehicles as well. I'd have to reach out to them and check on that.
So, Chief, what is there to keep from people from getting out of their cars and milling around?
Sure. So we did talk about that a little bit too, because during the time of the parade, all the restaurants and businesses are open. So we know people are going to be trying to go into, Casamigos and T-Hop and in and out of businesses. And so where the state's requiring masks, everyone that's moving about not in a vehicle should be masked. But we were gonna message it that if you're there for the parade, that you watch the parade from inside your vehicle, and it would take officers walking up and down the parade route to make sure they're in compliance. And so we know that there's definitely going to be some pedestrian traffic during the parade. The one advantage I see this over the Halloween event is it's much shorter. The parade passes through downtown in literally about 10 or 12 minutes. So it actually takes longer to set up and get everything ready than it does to have it downtown. So I think there's that short window of time that we're asking them to remain in their vehicles. I hope that helps, Joe.
Yeah, it helps, but see, I was assured of basically the same scenario. We're going to patrol, we're going to make sure everybody's wearing the mask, and there were all sorts of people not wearing masks and not being required by the police department to wear masks. When I mentioned masks to one guy, I won't repeat what that one guy told me. I don't know. Who else? Peter.
I'm fine with the parks plan. They've done a good job planning.
Pat.
I have a couple of questions, and some of it's related to parks and some of it's not. But do you, like Joe said, we had a very difficult time at Halloween to control and enforce the mask, and that was a masked holiday. So my question to you is, how are we going to enforce the mask? And also, uh, my other question, and that's in regards to the chief, with the extra patrol people that we have going there, is this going to be an overtime situation for us? And I know I'm asking that question because I know our overtime line we're right on the edge on that overtime line. So with the extra people that you got coming in, is this going to be an overtime situation?
Yeah, like the Halloween event, we would probably have to have one officer on each end for 4 hours, so it would probably create 8 hours. Pat, that's a good question. The mass piece we found out from the Halloween event is difficult. I spoke with the officers after that worked it. They kept masks on them and they approached a couple people and asked them to wear them, or else they would have to shut down the event. In some cases, wives told husbands put them on, and they either did or left. But it was very challenging for the officers. We obviously don't want to get into a position where we have to arrest somebody, and so it's a challenge with any event right now with COVID going on. And they'll do the best they can, but there's no way, I learned after the Halloween event, that we could promise 100% compliance, and it is going to be difficult to enforce.
So can we continue this the issue with the overtime, because you said there's only two people with the Christmas parade, but how then we're going to and it hasn't been talked about yet, but then we're going to close Riverfront Park, and that has to be enforced because now we have to have officers up there to enforce nobody going into Riverfront Park. How many officers are we going to need to go up to Riverfront Park and to enforce that as
Right.
well?
So the two that would be assigned to the parade would then shift up to Riverfront Park when it's over. And this would obviously take some help from Northfield PD and Somerton PD too. And typically they do help us with the parade. Usually Northfield PD helps us with Elm Street and Bridge, and they also help us on Park Street. And usually we can get Somerton PD to come down and help us on the other end. It's definitely going to be a challenge, I think, as far as the mass goes, but we'll do the best we can. It really has to be messaged that people need to stay in their cars and remain in their cars. And I think you're going to have people moving around, going in and out of the restaurants, regardless. And certainly those officers that are down there on foot will challenge anyone that doesn't have one.
The other thing is we can shut the lights off in Riverfront Park to make that a dark area that people really won't want to, and where we're not handing out any cookies or refreshments or anything. The park commissioners can stand at the entrances and ask people not to enter the park. So we can assist the police that way.
Thanks, Bob.
I have a comment. If Bill Lawrence here. Can you hear me?
Joe's on mute, so he can't hear you, but go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill Lawrence.
I mean, in regards to the mask, the governor's mask mandate is making a big difference in my business, where before about 50% wouldn't wear. Now I'm seeing about 90% of my customers are wearing masks. They are taking this seriously, which is great. But we just would have to put posters out saying masks are required for everyone's safety. Social distancing would be something that we would also want to direct people to, in case there were many people that they are thinking they would just walk down. And I think people are really taking it much more seriously than at the Halloween time when there wasn't a mask mandate.
Right.
John?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. If we have one officer on each end blocking off the road, who would be in charge of directing the parking and making sure that people park properly? And how many people would it take to do that?
Chief?
Good question, John. If we're going to be involved in the parking, I'd probably have to put an additional officer in between the two barricades to just assist and direct people coming through Center Street, so that when they came out of Center Street by the fire station in Meade, the officer would direct them to which way to park. Without knowing how many people will show up with vehicles, it's difficult, but that would add another officer, John, in between the barricades.
Okay, I think it might take a couple more, but to get the parking right. The other issue is, if you're going to change the way that people park and the direction, to an angle, how about the cars that are previously parked there normally? How will you get those removed to free up the spaces to change that angle of the parking?
So what we've done in the past is, as that side of the street, as Polly's closes, we cone off those spaces, and usually, by the time the parade starts, the people have pulled out of there. But I think if people wanted to, leave their car there and they're going into Casamigos, it would be fine. It wouldn't interfere with the parade, but they would have to realize that while the parade's passing, they wouldn't be able to pull out. But I think we've had that before. When the parade starts, typically there are a lot of vehicles parked downtown already. Just they're all either hidden or parked alongside the curb. And so it could lessen the amount of spaces available for the parade if there are a lot of people in the restaurants.
So I know typically at that hour, all of those spaces are taken up with parallel parked people, whether they're residents that are allowed to park or people in the stores or restaurants. And I'm just trying to figure out, you'd have to go hours earlier and ask people to move their car and free it up so that you could get the cars now, and also have a couple officers to have them change the parking to a diagonal and direct people to do that. And it seems a little bit difficult. The other question I have is, okay, so after the parade ends, all these people that were downtown diagonally parked are going to want to see the fireworks. Where would they park so that they could see the fireworks?
So I know that came up as well, and there were a couple suggestions maybe of like Union Sanborn School or Mill Street, and there are some spaces along Main Street down by LaChance Market, but there may not be enough spaces where everyone could park on the street adjacent to Riverfront Park. So that's why I think a location like Union Sanborn might be an alternative, or Mill Street.
That's it for right now, Joe. Thanks.
Eric Pyra, you have a question?
I do. If I heard correctly, this parking for 50 cars diagonal, approximately, if everyone parks on one side of the street, what happens if 100 cars show up?
Yeah, it's a good question, Eric. Would have to monitor that and count them, and once the spaces are gone, they wouldn't be able to pull down there. It's definitely challenging. It's not an easy task to do this. But
What about the fireworks? I mean, I'm parked on the side of the road right now, and I'm looking out my front window, and I can only see so high in my car. How are people going to get to see the fireworks? If they're not parked. I mean, if you say they park at Union Sanborn School, I think from that angle, the trees block a lot of that.
They're gonna go to Battery Park?
Chief?
yeah, I heard Pat. I think Battery Park or Mill Street. There's only so many places I think downtown they could park to see them well.
And who's going to direct them to places?
I think you'd have to message it that after the parade's over, if you're staying for the fireworks, these are the places that you could park, and put out some locations for them.
I have a question for you, Chief.
Yeah.
Do you recommend doing this?
So I really want the people to be able to enjoy the parade, but it's an unknown. We don't know how many people will show up with vehicles, and and we could run out of spaces quickly. I'm willing to work with Parks to make it happen, but it's going to be challenging, and there's a lot of questions that I'm not sure I could answer about how long and how quick those spaces will take to fill up.
My question was, do you recommend doing this?
I think I recommend it if people stay in their vehicles. I think it can work. I'm just not sure that we have enough room for as many vehicles as might show up. So I would
Is that a
say,
no or a yes?
um,
Come on, buddy.
I would, yeah, I would say yes with reservation, I guess.
So, can I ask a question?
Eric, by all means.
The Chief, you're the Director of Emergency Management in the town of Tilton, correct?
Yes.
So, as the Director of Emergency Management, in the middle of a pandemic, you're saying it's a good idea to hold a parade and have a crowd watch the parade and watch fireworks.
Only, Eric, to qualify that, only if we can do this where they stay in their vehicles. If we can't guarantee that, then I would say no.
Can you guarantee it? Can you guarantee it, Chief?
Honestly, I'll be honest, Joe, I think we learned that after the Halloween event, that I can't guarantee everyone will comply with the orders.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any further questions for the chief?
Yes.
Comment?
Go ahead, John.
Okay, Pat.
No, John, go first. Go ahead.
Okay.
Chief, how many police officers were present at the Halloween event?
We had 3 assigned to walking up and down, 1 on each end, and then they would alternate with an officer in the middle. And then our duty units were asked to flow through the event as well. But we had 3 assigned.
So that
So
was
there
6.
was 6?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we had the duty officers, and then of course, I was down there too. We had, plus we had a part-time officer on the other end, so that would be 4. And that could be equally an option here, if we have help from the part-time officers with parking, that sort of thing. And I haven't had the captain check with them yet, because I was waiting to hear if this would be approved or not.
Would it be possible to have what is, and I've seen other towns are doing it, a reverse parade, where instead of the parade going through all the people in cars would go through the parade, and you would set up floats and decorations along the road? And if the parks considered that?
Yes, we did. But the consensus was of still keeping it downtown. The alternative B was Tanger Outlet, where they would park and we would have to drive through. And my other comment back to parking was beside the mill across from the gas station. Isn't there like 13 parking spaces there?
Yeah, I believe it's 11 with a handicap.
There you go. That's a little, would that be useful?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
People would stand there. So if they would not stand there and have a car parked, would that give you a little more parking?
Yes, I think they would have to use anything there So yeah, we would encourage them to use those 11 spaces, Marina.
You know, I'm very concerned about, I'm more concerned, well, let me put it this way. I'm concerned about the parade. I'm very concerned about the overtime and that it's going to cause for the parade. But I'm more concerned with the fireworks because the fireworks are not going to be controlled in the groups at all. They are going to be out there. They're going to be in groups. They're going to be in Northfield. They're going to be in Tilton. They're going to be on Mill Street. They're going to be on Main Street. They're going to be everywhere, and nobody's going to be able to control whether they have masks on, whether they not have masks on, whether they're in cars, whether they're in walking or in groups. We do not have the manpower to put out there to control it. Is there any way that we can ask the fireworks people to hold on to that and have it at another time of the year when we don't have the COVID? I'm more concerned with that fireworks going off in COVID than I am right now with the cars along Main Street, which is semi-controlled, more controlled than the fireworks right now.
We can ask the company, but I have no idea. I know at this point he's gone out and purchased the fireworks for this event. We paid him for the event. I have no idea if he'll offer us compensation or if he'll come back at a later date to do it and everything. I can check with him and find out, but my guess is he probably will not offer us any sort of refund or allow us to do it at a different date. I think we're just going to have to incur the cost of the fireworks and not have them if that's what the board selects and everything. But I will check with them.
Would it be worth a try just to ask him and perhaps he could store them and then just have I understand that you've purchased them and all. And I mean, this whole thing, it stinks. I get it. It's, I'd really like to be out there too, but I just think that it's less controlled for this whole fireworks display than it is and then we could focus on the Christmas parade. We have X amount of police, and with a couple of volunteers, we could probably zone in on the parking and control enforcement, and then we could possibly limit it to that. That's just my thoughts.
Again, I can contact him tomorrow and find out and everything, but I have no idea what type of facility he has, if he's got a place that he can store these for a couple months, because I mean, we're definitely not going to be able to shoot them off anytime in the foreseeable future. So we're asking probably until spring or midsummer to store them. So,
Pardon me, Bob, can you
yeah,
ask him,
Marina.
if the place that he bought them from, hopefully it's one of the local fireworks company, if they can store it for him? That way it'll be safe.
As I said, I don't know what his arrangements are for purchasing the fireworks. I have no idea. It's not Bob that Billy Lawrence had hooked us up with several years ago. This is a fireworks company. So I have no idea. Hell's Gate Fireworks. I have no idea where he purchases them. I have no idea what his facilities are like or anything. So,
Bob, this is Tim. I just wanted to let you know, I just looked up the check and logged into the bank to see if it had cleared. It just was deposited by them last Thursday, the 19th. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know if that helps you any, but it's just been a few days since they got the check.
How much was it?
2,500.
Is there
Joe?
anybody else?
Joe,
Yeah, John. John.
would it be possible to have the fireworks at the high school and the parking lot over there? There'd be a lot more area for people to park and to view if they did them in the parking lot surrounding like the ball field and in that area, the soccer field.
John, we discussed that last night at our meeting, and it was brought to our attention that the last time that Old Home Day had it at the ball field or at the high school, there was damage to the roofs of the building from falling embers and heavy paper on the playing field. So we felt the school probably would not give us permission to hold it there anymore. And we could check with them, but again, I can't guarantee anything. So, and Peter, if I spoke, please enter on this issue.
You got it, Bob.
Thanks, Peter.
It is a much smaller display than Old Home Day.
I guess one of my big concerns is the number of police officers that are available for the involving the clearing the parking spaces prior to people being able to change over to a diagonal park, as well as people parking the cars. And we've typically, any of these events, we've had more than the 2 or 3 police officers.
Yeah, I think, John, we've, in the past too, we've also had the police explorers, the cadets, and with COVID, they can't do events like this right now, so that's another issue for us. And I I don't know how many spaces will be available for the parade participants with the restaurants doing so well and being open. So, but to be able to get them in there and park them safely, I would have to have a couple officers down there to assist them.
I think Joe wants to say something. Joe, you're muted. Okay.
I did say something. He claimed they would take a couple officers. I said at least. Is there any other discussion about this subject? Is there any pertinent information to be brought forward at this point? Is there a motion to be made?
Okay, I'll try. I'll try. I'll make a motion to. You okay, Joe? All right.
Oh yeah.
All right. You didn't mute. I'll make a motion to go ahead with the Plan B for the Christmas parade, with the parking, and not go ahead with the fireworks for
Is
the
that it, Pat?
Christmas. Yeah. Well, I was gonna add something in there to see if Parks wouldn't help out with some of the overtime for the police.
We
Is
can
that
definitely
Bill or
cover
no?
the overtime for the police out of our budget. That's not a problem.
It's the selectmen's budget. We move it wherever we need it if you need the money.
True enough. Is that your motion, Pat?
Yes.
Okey doke. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? I on mute?
You're good,
Hello?
Joe. You're just not hearing one.
So there's no second to the motion?
Correct.
Well, there's no second to the motion, so the motion fails. Are there any other motions to be made?
Joe,
Peter,
I make a motion that we allow the parks and the chief to hold the Christmas parade and fireworks depending upon conditions as they occur as we approach the parade day.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Anybody?
This is just a selectman, right?
This
Yeah.
is just a selectman bill, yep.
Nice try, Bill.
Where's Eric?
Just for the sake of the discussion, I'll second it. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Yes. What's your parameters for, what's your parameters for determination if the event happens? Excuse me.
May I respond, Joe?
Absolutely, Peter.
I would say we follow the governor's orders, which currently we could still be outside in public areas. If we're 6 feet or closer, we need masks. If I'm in public outside of that, you don't need the mask currently. If that changes, then that changes for the parade.
What are the
Is there any
governor's
other question? Pat?
What are the governor's rules on gatherings over a certain amount of people?
Are we checking houses for over 10? I believe that's Dr. Fauci's recommendation.
I'm asking about the governor. You quoted the governor. I'm asking about the governor.
Out in anywhere outdoors in the public. He didn't quantify or qualify whether it's a large group or not. If you're closer than 6 feet, you wear a mask. If you're further, you don't have to.
I just listened to the chief, and I just listened to Marina, and I've listened to most everybody here, and there are no guarantees. There are nobody can give you definitive answers on how to get traffic in and out. You have to add 5 or 6 offices in the Christmas parade, and then again that evening. So that's you're adding hours onto that for the fireworks display, and nobody knows where these people are going to go for the fireworks display because you're closing Riverfront Park. It means you've not contained it at all. You've let them just go away from Riverfront. Now you've got them at Northfield, you've got them at Union Sanborn, you've got them at Mill Street, you've got them across the street, you've got them downtown, you've got them everywhere, and that's way out of control. That's why I voted no fireworks, because you can't control and you don't have any definitive answers, and the chief doesn't have any definitive answers. We can't. Halloween we had very specific plans, and I get that you have some plans, but you don't have very specific plans.
Let's go to full lockdown and cancel everything in Tilton.
Okay, well done, Peter. Is
Joe?
there any other discussion on the matter at hand?
Yes.
John?
How many police officers would it require to do this, and what would that cost be? And would the parks budget cover for that?
It's the selectmen's budget. You pull it out of theirs over to the overtime line. It's as simple as that, John. You don't even have to ask, basically. End of the year, you look what their balances are.
To answer the question, I mean, typically for that event, we have 4 hours, and that covers the parade and the fireworks.
And
But
now, beyond the typical, we also have the parking. Would we need additional for parking?
what I'd have to do is, what I would want to do is see if we can get the part-timers in to help, and I think that would help reduce the cost, John. It would be nice to have 6 in total, 4 full-time and 2 part-time. But the block of time would be 4 hours, especially where there's no Santa and food event. It sounds like the fireworks were going to kick off immediately after the parade, from what I was told.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none.
I'm totally in favor of the parade, but I'm not in favor of such loose parameters. I'm sorry. I'm totally in favor of the parade if we can make it a little bit tighter. I just not in favor of the way it is.
Okay, we're going to have an official vote then. We have a motion to allow Plan B with the fireworks to happen across the river. And we have a second. Roll call vote. Constantino.
Constantino, no.
Bog, yes.
Jessamine, no. Ira.
Ira, no.
Scanlon.
No.
Okay, the motion does not carry. Are there any other motions to be made on this subject?
Make a motion that the Christmas parade proceed with Plan B as spelled out tonight in the meeting. Only, Christmas parade only.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? I'll second it. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Peter?
What's the overtime going to be?
Doesn't matter, we can move it from one to another.
I know it was asked before. I'm fine.
I love you.
It's going to be thousands.
One at a time. One at a time. Chief, how much is the overtime going to be?
Yeah,
In money?
it would probably, I think I agree with Tim, it would be about $1,000. Would you say?
No, it's a lot more than that. When
How
you
much?
said officers, 4 hours each, I calculated somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 would be the cost, depending upon who's working.
Yeah, with benefits and
44 hours. So if that was correct, if you need that many, but the Parks Commission has the money. And as Peter said, he's correct. It's all in the selectmen's budget. It can be transferred.
Is there any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Constantino.
Yes.
Bog, yes.
Jessamine, no. Pyra,
Ira, no.
Scanlon,
No.
the motion fails. Are there any other motions to be brought before us this evening?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn is non-debatable. Is there a second? I hear no second. Are there any other motions to come before us this evening? Hello?
I don't know what other we can do. Just, we did it with the parade without fireworks. We did it with both. I don't know. What do you want to do?
You run the parade but have no one on the street and videotape it.
You know, they're kind of doing that in Laconia.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how it's working, but they're having some kind of virtual parade, and Lakes Region Public Access TV is going to be broadcasting it. Now, I don't know what other components there are to this, but I went to an LRPA meeting today, and that's what they told me.
Did Concord have their parade already?
They did.
How did that go? Did anybody know?
I don't know.
I don't know. I know that Wolfboro canceled theirs first night.
Tompkins Parade was last Saturday. They went the normal parade route. They did do virtual, but they had complications with the virtual, so that wasn't possible. But they had people lined up along the parade route, social distancing on the parade route, and they held the parade as normal.
And their parade route was a lot bigger than ours.
Would you like to make a motion?
I already made a motion to let the parade go as planned. And it was seconded by you
That
and both.
didn't pass.
Right. You want me to make it again? I don't know. I mean,
Either that or we adjourn. We either decide something or we adjourn.
so I'll make it one more time. Let's make a motion that we have the Christmas parade downtown. No fireworks.
Okay. Is there a second to Pat's motion?
Fogg, second.
We have a motion and a second to hold the parade downtown in accordance with the chief's best practices and plans without having the fireworks. Is that what I am understanding?
That's correct.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. If there's no other discussion, roll call vote. Constantino,
Yes.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, no. Pyra,
Ira, no.
and it's on you, John. That's the wrong way to put it. Scanlon,
No.
okay, the motion fails.
Motion to adjourn, please. Sorry, folks.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. It's non-debatable. Roll call vote. Constantino,
Yes.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, yes. Pyra, Pyra. We've lost him. Scanlon.
Yes.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry it didn't work out.
That's it?
That's
Are you
it.
kidding me?
Nope.
Sorry, Marie.